What up? It's your boy, Incredible Man. Yes, I'm back at it again, and this is my discussion slash review for Dr. Stone, episode 19. Dude, it, it was good, man. It was very, very good, and I can't believe that we're coming upon the ending of Dr. Stone this season anyway, man, because I don't quote me, but I think it's 25 or 26 episodes, and next week is going to be episode 20, man, dude, and I can't believe that it's coming to an end, but it's been a fantastic journey, and I loved every single moment of it. But let's get into this episode, man, because this episode brought some stuff. Dude, this episode was good. I really enjoyed it, and coming right off the heels of last week's episode, it threw in some stuff that I didn't expect to happen. I knew that we were kind of going to clash with Hyoga and, kind of wrap all of that up this episode, but I didn't expect us to actually like really clash with them and have a moment, because like they destroyed the village. Him and what's her name? Homura? I think her name is Homura. Hold on, let me look. Okay, yeah. Him and Homura destroyed the village and burnt the bridges and separated everybody and kind of confided them at the science cabin. So, the science hut. So that's what I'm saying, man. This episode, it really shocked me. It really surprised me. Most times, like when I'm watching an anime or something like that, I can guess pretty much how they're gonna go and what's gonna happen. But they shocked me with this episode. I did not expect them to have Hyoga and Homura demolish Senku and them the way that they did. Like, they didn't like hurt anybody. No one got hurt or wounded, but they destroyed the village. But that's fine, because at the end of the episode, they rebuilt the village. But for them to go out of their way and do that this episode, that really caught me by surprise. I didn't expect them to do it. And I don't know if anybody else caught it, but Homura's kind of boss. I gotta give her credit, because we saw her doing like some Navy SEAL type training where she's swimming through the water, coming up behind the village, and we know that there's no direct route to the village that way, so she had to climb up the rock part of the village to get there. She started a fire on like a little piece of wood and everything, then she set it, then she used arrows to burn each of the village. Your girl is bad. You gotta give her credit. She's done all of this outdoorsman type stuff by herself and single-handedly destroyed the village. And when she went to fight Kohaku's father in Kohaku, she outmaneuvered them both to get past them to get to the other side where Hyoga was. That girl is fantastic. Now we knew from last week's episode, we knew Hyoga's boss. We knew he could fight with the whole spear and everything. But we got to give her credit too. And I'm starting to grasp the concept of how Tsukasa wraps everyone up in his village. If they have like the fur slash the white fur around on any part of them, they're strong competitors in the village. And as we can tell at the end of this episode, Taiju also has the fur around her, and him and oh crap, what's her name? I know her name, but you guys know. I'm thinking about so much going on. But both of them have the fur around their collars and on their persons as well. But before I continue to go with the episode, I just really want to get that out there, because we got to give Homura her credit, because where credit is due. Chick is bad. But this beginning of this episode was very, very nice, and that was very different for Dr. Stone to go this route. They showed us everything in Tsukasa's village, like his little whole outgoing and civilization, and we pretty much knew his thoughts, but he shared his thoughts with Hyoga when he awoken Hyoga from the stone prison. So it was nice to see that this episode, for us to go into depth and really understand. We knew why Tsukasa felt this way, but he was explaining it to Hyoga, and we understand and we see Hyoga agrees with Tsukasa. And I don't know, maybe that's how he really felt because of all of the poverty and how people treated people in the old world. Or it could just be because he's thankful to Tsukasa waking him up, and he really didn't want to go against the grain. They really didn't touch on it. They just showed us glimpse of him seeing all of like the kids starving and poverty and stuff. So I'm leaning forward to that maybe being the possibility of the reason why he's sticking with Tsukasa and why he's following his ideology. But then we see all of the other people, and we have this one chick that I feel like she's gonna kind of come into play later on in the story. That she's like, well, I'm infatuated with Tsukasa-chan. And then we have everyone else, and we see how they interact with Tsukasa, and we find out that they're pretty much taken in by whatever ideology Tsukasa's spouting about, taking the world over and not letting it fall back into the hands of the people that, like ruined it with the poverty and everything else. And they felt like they were entitled something because they had money. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, that's his perspective and his view of that. But at the same time, those same people that you don't want to use or revive, they could also make the world better, because in that group, there's some good people. All those people aren't bad. Some of those people are actually nice, decent people. But that's just, it's half and half. So, but that's his view. He doesn't want to revive any of those type of people. So then we get to present time and we see Hyoga and Homura, and Hyoga's done reached the conclusion that we know, well, okay, Gin has officially betrayed us and he's no longer with us anymore. He's with the Team Science and he's the one that messed up my spear. So then while they're doing that and after they've tried to gather all of the people up, so we're dealing with all of the aftermath of Homura burning the village down in the bridges and separating everybody, and then everybody coming back together at the science hut. And Sueka steps up and volunteers herself, like without anybody knowing, and takes and makes herself a decoy, and she's leading all of these guys away from the villagers and away from all of the children and everything, so they could not be near the village. But that's not that's a good thing. But at the same time, Hyoga's one of those smart characters and he knows what she's doing, so he's okay with it. So he goes along with it, only to, well, we'll just capture her and use her as the pawn that we were going to use anyway. But everybody's plans fall short because, as Senku stated, Mother Nature doesn't take sides. She is super impartial, because at that time, with the wind blowing, the sulfuric acid, or the poison gas, as they call it, comes and it's just starting to take over everything. And Senku, he has the gas mask, so he has Kohaku give Sueka a gas mask, and they climb up to the top of a tree, and Senku has his, and he was like, ah, ha, 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 ha. So it was funny, and it was a nice callback to see the gas mask and the poison come back into play, because it was such a major part in those particular episodes, and it was nice to see those come back into play. And Hyoga was like, oh, well, wow, okay. And even Senku played it off, was like, yeah, well, we got poison gas on our side because the strong guys, like, they fell for it, and this is when it shifted, man, because Hyoga, like, dude is a cool character, and I love his character design, and I love the way that he thinks, because, he even gives credit to the people, like, when they're willing to make a sacrifice or stand up. And he was like, okay, well, you guys, you really didn't do anything this trip, so I need you guys to see if the poison can go. And he just knocks them down in the poison. Okay, well, they died for a good reason, to see if the poison was gone, so they're dead now. And then we see him going back to Tsukasa, and then we have Senku talking to everyone else and making a statement that, well, now we don't have the means to make any more gunpowder, and Tsukasa knows that, and he stated that it would be a good thing if we could revive some of the people that's turned to stone, and we can make the stuff without having to get it, but at the same time, it would take way too long. So he came up with a brilliant idea to make cell phones. So, and I love the gimmick that they went into it, because Gin was like, you gonna make a nuke? And he was like, no, we're not making a nuke. And so they're gonna make cell phones, and that's super exciting, dude. I'm super excited to see how they're gonna do that. And everyone else was looking all confused, like, what is going on? What is going on? And then he was like, it allows you to talk to one person from a distance. And they were like, wow, that is so cool. That is science. So that's sorcery. And we had Magma talking about, is that a fish? So it was a lot of comedy going on in the back half of this episode, because it was a lot more serious midway through, because we got a whole bunch of serious stuff going on from the start all the way through the middle, because the back half was a lot more lighthearted and kind of just explaining some stuff, because they laid out the well thought out plan of all the components that they need to make the cell phones as well. And then we jump and we see Hyoga talking to Tsukasa and telling him that Gin betrayed us, and all of the information that he gave us was a lie. And Senku's alive. So, you know, there's that, and you can see, Tsukasa is like pissed, man. Like his eyes are just, he's mad. And then we jump back to Senku, and everyone else were like, who are we gonna talk to from a distance, and who could we have? Because he gave up the idea of having the cell phones, but also of having someone inside Tsukasa's camp to derail them when they're making their move on the Ishigami village. And they were like, well, who are we going to have to infiltrate the gang? I mean, we can't have Gen because Gen is burned. And then they show a nice little clip of, who did they show? Oh, Taiju and Yurahira. I think that Yuzuhira. And I feel like I butchered her name again. But anyway, they showed a clip of them. And like I said earlier in my video, everyone that's like, you know, that has a major role and that's pretty strong in Tsukasa's village has like the fur around them or on their body on some part. So Yuzuriya and Taiju both had the fur on their body, so we know they're now. I'm thinking now, since they left, they're major players inside Tsukasa's village, and now with Senku making the cell phone. And they were like, well, who are we going to use? And we're going to use these two. Dude, now I'm so excited. This is your boy, Incredible, man. Don't forget to smash that like button. You can't smash it anymore. Comment down below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them. And subscribe, but only if you really want to, man. And remember that anime matters, anime is greatness, and anime is life, man. Peace out.